So welcome to this afternoon's webinar. You are part, or this webinar is part of the Grow My SME webinar program, which is being run in collaboration with the European Union and Humber Business Growth Hub, as well as the Northern Powerhouse. And it's all really about survive, revive and thrive. So this is a whole suite of business support options for you. So at the end of the webinar today, I'll just take you through just a couple of slides about next steps and what you can get from this program beyond today. So the purpose of today's webinar really is as a kind of taster session, if you like, a little introduction to some upcoming masterclass programs, which has a range of topics. Mine obviously is around digital marketing, obviously, and I'll give you a little bit more information about that in a moment. But today's taster session is really about the power of digital when creating a marketing strategy. And what I'm going to do is give you a flavour of what would be involved in the 3 masterclasses that you might like to attend after this session. So a taster of the sorts of topics that we're going to dig into in much more depth if you decide to join the masterclass program, and give you a bit of an idea about why you think these masterclasses might be important to you and your business. So I wanted to give you a bit of background about me. My name is Emily Whitehead. I'm one of the digital technology advisors on this particular program. I am a business consultant and coach by trade, and I have been in the sales and marketing world, if you like, for well over 20 years. Probably getting on for even 30, if I count it all up. But I've been working as a business consultant and coach for about 17 years. I'm a member of the Institute of Digital Marketers. I am an accredited member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and I work both within programs like this around the UK. So I work with businesses of a range of sizes all over the UK, but also I am an entrepreneur in residence at my local university, and I've delivered on a variety of different programs helping businesses from different sectors, but actually my specialism is digital marketing and marketing overall. So I like to focus on things like storytelling, really creating brand that matters, creating brand with purpose, helping businesses not only harness digital opportunities, and obviously there are many, but also help businesses do that on a really practical level, because it's, you know, all of us can go online and have a good look at all the latest blogs and videos about all the latest trends. But as business owners, as marketers within businesses, that can be overwhelming. How do you choose what you need to do? What's the best thing to do for your business? And all of us have limited capacity and limited budgets. So it's important to make plans that really work for our business, not just loads of generalized information. This webinar will go on for approximately 90 minutes. So I'm going to talk for about an hour, just over. And at the end, then there'll be an opportunity for a Q&A. Although, as I've already said, please feel free to interrupt me if you've got any questions. So just to go through the areas that I'm going to cover, and I'm just going to, thank you for your question. I'm now going to see if I can, just a minute. Lovely, I can see it now. Bear with me. That's it, I can see the chat properly. Okay. So, hello Emily, have you become excellent at storytelling? Thank you. Well, I like to think so. I like to talk a lot about storytelling. And I think I love talking about SMEs. I love talking about their stories and their brands and how they can connect with in relationships. So yes, Catherine, I do enjoy that. Now we've just skipped the slide going through what we're going to talk about, but what we're going to talk about today is really the changing landscape, as you can see here, really thinking about what the impact of both a pandemic, potentially Brexit, if that has an impact in your particular sector. It may not, or it may do, but also the changing digital landscape as well, because Digital obviously has been growing rapidly over the last 10 years. We're all very aware of it. But how has that exponentially changed in the last 12 to 18 months? What is different about the way that people are behaving around digital? We're going to look at about how to identify your goals. So obviously a lot of the information we're going to talk about in the masterclasses is really digging into what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve with digital marketing? Where are you headed? Why are you headed there? What sort of things do you need to take into account? We're also going to talk about why digital is important. So again, it might seem blooming obvious, but actually understanding not only the digital landscape, but also thinking about what elements of that are going to be most important for your business to harness, I think is vital. And then the core elements of a really great marketing strategy and the core elements to think about when you're thinking about implementing a digital strategy. So I've just grabbed some data here that I think really kind of highlights some of the key changes that are most important to you. So 98% of UK internet users still use a traditional search engine. So that might not be a surprise to you, but just to let you know, Google is still it. Google is is the biggest search engine across the world, but certainly in the UK, it's still by far and away the most popular. And so that helps us understand the importance of us as businesses harnessing that power of Google, really understanding what elements of Google we need to be aware of, we need to optimize within our business in order that Google is delivering your business in whatever form as a search result for people's searches. So whether that is a map reference, whether that is a messaging service, whether that is simply finding your website, whether that's for an e-commerce goal that you've got for the business, whatever that is, it's so important for us to understand that Google is still very much it and still something that we have to focus on. But moving on from that, interestingly, 31% are using voice-activated search or commands. So that's your things like Alexa and Siri. So that I thought was quite a large figure because I'm not a Luddite. I certainly press the search button on my phone and ask questions, but really it's my kids that are talking to Alexa. I've not got into that myself. But what that tells us is how can we optimize our marketing strategy to make sure that we are positioned as businesses to be results for that kind of voice activated search or command. So how will Google or any other search engine, so in the case of Siri, it's Apple product and Safari, how are we going to make sure that our businesses pop up as a result of people's asking questions? And we're going to dig into a little bit of that a little bit later. All device internet use has increased by over 6 hours a day. Well, that was a little bit depressing. So over 6 hours a day we are on digital devices. Now that obviously has been hugely influenced by working from home. So here I am in my little office, and I'm sure you guys are doing the same. So that accounts for some of it, but actually when you dig into some of that data, and if you want to go and have a look at some of that data, go on to wearesocial.com, because that's where I got. We Are Social is run by Hootsuite, which some of you will have heard of, and it had some of the most comprehensive and latest data that I was looking for, so that I brought you kind of the most interesting data. But what that tells us really is that when you dig into it, how that is made up in terms of how people are using the internet. So classic example is that the most downloaded apps across the UK in 2020 was TikTok, I know you're not surprised, and also Zoom. And again, I know you're not surprised. So actually some of that internet use really is other stuff as opposed to social. So you might assume that we had spent our whole time on social media during the pandemic, but actually that shows that it's only gone up by about 3 minutes in the last 12 months. And in the UK, still the most popular is YouTube, Facebook and WhatsApp. So obviously YouTube you know, a huge number of us are just using YouTube, whether we're fixing a bike or just wanting to be entertained. That still is massive, but Facebook is still huge. And Facebook really came into its own during the last 18 months because of the hyper-localized information that we were able to get. Lots and lots of Facebook groups popping up around community support, pandemic support, that kind of thing, but also how businesses then harness that community aspect of Facebook in order to optimize their digital marketing. So Facebook really moved in terms of businesses away from it being a broadcasting platform where you might talk about your business and say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is our news, come and look at us, and here's the link to go and find out more. Much more to do where you saw huge success stories in digital marketing, much more around businesses saying, hey, this is what we're doing for our community. This is how we're helping a local charity. This is how we're here to help you. And that subtle language change has been marked across, especially the Facebook platform, more than anywhere else. WhatsApp, I know traditionally isn't seen as a social media platform, but in fact it is. There are huge advertising and communication opportunities with WhatsApp if that's appropriate for your business. And when we talk and go through to the 3 masterclasses, I'm very much going to emphasize the importance of creating a digital marketing strategy that you can manage and that's right for your business. So just because TikTok was the biggest, one of the biggest app downloads across the UK in the last 14 months, doesn't necessarily mean that TikTok is going to be the ideal platform for your business. It might not be the right age group, it might not be the right atmosphere, you might simply not have the capacity to launch that this year. Online shopping saw a huge increase over the last 12 months. I know you're not surprised. I'm certainly done a bit of that myself. But interestingly, the 16 to 24-year-olds have been having have the lowest rate of online shopping, which really surprised me again. It was much more my age group, the sort of around the age of 50 age group, that were doing the most shopping. So again, that lets us know, don't assume that just because people are young, that they are adopting all the latest trends. They may still actually, for example, this age group may actually not be online shopping because they love the experience of being out and about in shops. They might have less fear around COVID, for example. They might feel more like they need to meet their friends and have an experience of shopping. Whereas someone like me feels like, yeah, done that, got the t-shirt, not interested, just want to buy the t-shirt online rather than, you know, elbow my way through crowded shops. And so again, really why I shared that piece of data is for us to really use data to understand what's right for our businesses when adopting a digital marketing strategy, rather than just assuming, oh, they're young people, we want young people, so they must be doing this and that must be that. 28% of UK users search social media for their brand information, and this is an increase. So again, rather than using traditional websites and thinking I'm just going to go on Google and find a cafe near me, what people are doing is they're going to Facebook first or other social media platforms and asking friends. They're doing little searches to find out what their social media says about them. The reason I've shared that one is because I find that really interesting. They're not necessarily super interested in the first instance in your location, your price point, some of that kind of data information that we all feel so compelled to add to our websites. Actually, what people are the reason people are going on social media to discover more about brands is to find out what the feeling is around that brand. Does this brand feel cool and exciting? Is this brand helpful and warm? Does this brand resonate with my own belief systems? And kind of that really spins it on its head when we think about our own brands. So previously, when we have developed brands, we might have thought about some of these elements, but we might have thought about voice, we might have thought about the personality of our brand, but actually, we haven't necessarily harnessed the relationships that we are building on social media way before anybody decides to buy from us, book with us, choose us, hire us, whatever your sector is. And actually what that is a real move away from the traditional transactional sales type of marketing that we assume marketing is. Well, and it is, you know, ultimately we're going to this effort because we want more income. We might need to grow our turnover, improve our profit, upgrade our footfall, relaunch something. But actually, interestingly, what the consumers want, what people want to understand, and actually this is true of the B2B world as well, is actually they want to understand about a brand in a lot more depth, and social media is a really great place for them to start to do that. Okay, so I wanted to share just a couple of graphics so you don't just have to look at words on the PowerPoints this afternoon. And again, I've kind of picked these out because of their significance, and really just they pinpoint some of the things that we will dig into as part of the 3 masterclasses. So content, again and again when I speak to businesses about their marketing strategies, one of the first things they come to me about time and again is, I just don't know what to say. How many times can we tell people about our products? How are we going to stay interesting? We simply haven't got the time to be thinking about producing brand new videos all the time. There are lots of these feelings of overwhelm, feelings that actually content creation is hugely time consuming, needs to be hugely creative, and are we as a business up to that? So I just thought, I mean, I'm not going to go through each one of these here, but I just wanted to share some of that, some insight here so that we can start to pick out the content that's going to be right for your business, and so that you don't have to worry about other types of content, so that you can pick out what's going to land best with your customers and your consumer base, rather than thinking, I've heard somewhere that TikTok is huge and we need to be on TikTok, and we've now got to find some wacky way of creating video. It isn't that anymore. It's about us making bespoke plans for ourselves. But it is interesting, nonetheless, to recognize that actually films and movies and entertainment, funny videos and memes are still hugely popular, massively popular. And we will all know, you know, the cat videos and the memes that we've all shared between ourselves, especially in lockdown. Tutorial videos, again, this is kind of the YouTube aspect, you know, who doesn't fix anything these days without checking YouTube first? You know, I did it the other day when I got stuck on a digital issue with my website, straight onto YouTube to check how to do it. Classic TV shows, well, that's kind of, you know, maybe pandemic skewed at this stage. Live streaming of sports, bloggers and vloggers, again, still really, really popular. So it's just interesting for you to think about what content is going to be important to you and what you need to focus on. Perhaps think about what skills are required within the business to do that. Perhaps you need to think about outsourcing as part of your marketing plan. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to share with you is really time spent. So I talked to you earlier that we've, you know, spending over 6 hours a day on digital devices, and that is across all devices. But again, it helps to understand how that's broken down. So are people spending time, you know, listening to music? Are they listening to podcasts? Are they listening to TV or watching TV as it's broadcast or through streaming? How much time are they spending as part of social media? Actually surprisingly low, which is interesting. But podcasts have grown hugely, for example. Now, podcasts might not be the ideal solution for your business as part of a marketing strategy, but it might be, and this might be an interesting element for you to think about. Okay, so I now want to talk about identifying your core goals. So obviously within the masterclasses around digital marketing, we will dig into this in a lot more detail, really thinking about what's going to be most important for your business. All businesses have been hugely affected over the last 14, 15, 16 months nearly since the pandemic started. And some businesses, it hasn't all been disaster. So some businesses have been closed, some businesses have had to pivot or have had to really adapt and be completely agile in a way they hadn't been to that point. Other businesses have never been busier. But again, those businesses equally feeling exhausted, wrung out, and possibly have been fighting fires all year in a very busy way, but haven't had time to think strategically about a marketing plan going forward. So what we're going to discover and really uncover as part of the masterclasses is what goals are important to you. So recovery, it might be that your business is in recovery mode. So I know I work with a lot of hospitality businesses, for example. They are really struggling with employment, actually, their recruitment. So that's really unexpected and a new problem for them to deal with. So up until the point of reopening, their focus was reopening and making sure that that was possible and that they could restart their businesses, get some really valuable income in. But actually what's happened is that recruitment has become a quick problem within that industry. And so there is further recovery to be thinking about. There is further messaging to think about. So when we think about businesses that are in that recovery zone, it's about thinking about rebuilding your brand. So I talked earlier about the needs for brands to have purpose more than ever before. The need for brands to have a real clear personality that can be conveyed and used for communication on social media, for example. And it could be that you, and actually this has been really common throughout the pandemic, is that I've worked with businesses who have a really great brand, a really strong brand, but somehow didn't quite reach the mark in the new landscape. So it was losing ground because it didn't really have a clear enough message, or it wasn't resonating with the messages that its consumers and customers were looking for. There are those who maybe had a wibbly wobbly brand to start with. So maybe the brand premise wasn't that clear. And actually what the pandemic might have done is it might have made them realize, actually, we want to do all this stuff, but we're not telling people. We do this stuff, but it's not represented in our brand. And talking to recently a digital designer and a graphic designer, he's never been busier, actually, because he's being inundated with businesses looking to rebrand. Of course, we know brand isn't about logo, but people recognizing that a part of the recovery process might be about rebuilding brand, but also rebranding messaging and really thinking about what messages are important. So it might be that in your sector previous to this, you were very comfortable in a very kind of price-driven market. You might have been quite happy and comfortable in that zone. And perhaps the last 15 months have meant that actually people have expected something different from you. They wanted new types of messaging. So we've all seen those kind of big supermarkets, small independent shops who were able to completely change their messaging from come and buy your tomatoes here to we are at the heart of your community and we're going to help you get what you need safely and quickly and efficiently. So that, is really key. But also recovery is about positioning in the market too. So where do you now sit? What does your business need to be for its market, for your customers, but also where are you amongst all the others? We've all seen brands, both locally and nationally, that have really done very well in the last 15 months, who've really come out and shone in that time. And we've also come across brands that have really sunk. So we can think about brands that didn't look after their employees very well and made national news, or brands that really embedded the NHS as the heart of all their communications and support and have done very well. So that's obviously a very broad, a broad sweeping statement, but actually nonetheless really important for you to think about. It could be that your goals are going to be all around resilience. So again, this could be around positioning. Resilience is that, you wobbled, you were agile, you pivoted, you fought fires and you've worked really hard. Possibly you've introduced new services or products, but actually it's about bedding that in, really using a digital marketing strategy to really start to concrete in those foundations that you may have laid, but in rather a haphazard way in the last 15 months. And who hasn't done that? Who hasn't had to do things at huge speed with not necessarily the research and the plans that previously you would have put into a project? So it could be around positioning, could be around operational efficiency. So what's that got to do with marketing strategy? Well, everything in a way, because it might be that you've had to introduce new operational procedures, plans. Maybe you've had to change the way that you do things. Maybe you've had to change your productivity to become more efficient, or to become more helpful, to become of service to your customers. And this is so important. And really how that's reflected within your marketing strategy now. People might just not be aware of all the hard work that's been going on behind the scenes. Pivoting is still going on. So yeah, you know, I know a lot of businesses pivoted during the last 15 months, but we're still needing to be agile. We still, as businesses, need to be really, really horizon watching all the time. What do our customers need? How is that changing on a day-to-day basis? Where can we find that information? What data do we need to use to make sure that we are marketing in exactly the way that our customers are hoping for? So again, it's around positioning, but it's also about our value proposition, i.e., how are we as a business of value to our customers? Is that really clear? Do they really understand what it is? Have we pinpointed where the real value lies? So often in our businesses, we think about, yeah, we have this product, we know that there's a need for it, and we have this product and it solves this problem. But actually, when we use data, research, we really question our customers. We really analyze some of our social media. We start to understand exactly what the real golden nugget is of what we offer. And it might not be the product itself. It might be the customer service around that. It might be the brand values around that. So people are choosing us because they resonate with our brand values. So it's really understanding that customer analysis and really getting to know our customers like best friends, if you like. And also, even though you may have survived the last 15 months, you might be on the lookout for new markets. You might be on the verge of launching a new product or service, or evolving your products and services, so that you need to seek new markets, and how your digital marketing strategy can encompass that. And then finally, some of you might be just going for growth, and that's kind of where we all want to be at some point. You might not be ready to do that, but if you are in growth phase, so you feel like, you know, you've done all that hard work and now it's time to really grow the business in order to not only grow turnover, but also to expand market, to gain market share, whatever it is, to be leaders within your sector. So that's going to be really important to really understand our customer profiling, to use digital data to really understand exactly who our customers are and what they need, what our brand strength is, making sure that our value propositioning is absolutely on point, our messaging, storytelling, and then obviously thinking about advertising. So I haven't particularly mentioned advertising yet, because quite often with digital marketing, people assume, well, that is advertising, but actually that's something slightly different. There are different layers to a marketing strategy that I think we can work through. So I hope that this slide has given you some insight into what will be coming along as part of the 3 masterclasses. So I'm going to take a swig of water first. So why does digital matter quite so much? Kind of, we know the world is really, really digital, and we're surrounded by it. We live on our phones, we live on our tablets, we live on our laptops, or at least I do. Even the way that we, you know, Alexa, play some music while we're cooking. You know, everything around us is hugely digital. We all use apps, we listen to podcasts, but actually, why is this important, and why is it so important for us as businesses to harness it in order to find the success, the growth that we're looking for? So I've really listed some of these ideas and just want to explore some of them, but as part of the 3 masterclasses, we will be really digging into these and understanding them in a lot more depth. And also, more importantly, finding out which elements or which pieces within this list is most important to your business. So the first one is really, digital is so important to help us explore and create new markets. I already talked about some of you might be in the growth phase, some of you might not be quite fully at the growth phase, but clearly your long-term plans will be in that direction. So digital really helps us not only easily access some of those markets, because we can use Google, we can use social media, we have the power of podcasts and video and all those different bits of content and opportunities that are there, but also it allows us to understand in a lot more detail about the markets that we're looking for, and to understand what is on the horizon, not just what's trendy, but actually which direction is your sector going in. How can you see your sector heading into the future, and are you at the forefront of that? So classic example, if we think about the car market. So we've been bumbling along a little while with kind of hybrid cars and a few electric cars. You know, some people have gone for electric and have to plug in, you know, and this has been growing steadily and people have been moving on. But then all of a sudden I was listening to a radio program yesterday where, and I'm afraid I can't remember the brand, but one of the car brands saying that, oh, I think it was Volvo, that they are going to be entirely electric by 2025. So that sort of has exponentially exploded in terms of the market and the electric car market. The reason I'm telling you this is because we can see that over the horizon, our sectors are changing very rapidly, very suddenly. Some markets are really pivoting. So for example, supermarkets obviously had a huge expansion of their online sales and their home delivery. But how will that ping back? Will that ping back to all of us visiting supermarkets all the time? But will online and home delivery be a much bigger section of their business in the future? All of you will have perhaps delivered your products or services in a new or a different or enhanced way over the last 15 months, but actually, is that going to change? I know, for example, that I'm part of a team planning some leadership programs early in 2022, but actually we're pretty much prepared to be presenting most of that online. Not because we hope we need to from a COVID point of view, but because actually people have discovered it's really super convenient. You know, you could be watching this webinar in your slippers, having a cup of coffee, managing to not have to drive to an event, but actually have the opportunity to stay in your office and then immediately get back to work the minute that this webinar is over. And that can't be underestimated. So digital matters because it gives you the opportunity to not only explore, but also to find those markets, create those markets, and really optimize your business for those markets. There's also a huge expansion in AI, artificial intelligence, that's already being used. The Google effect really has exploded since their 20th anniversary in 2018. So their anniversary really was a moment when Google decided exactly which direction it was going in. And at that point, they declared AI was at the center of everything that they're doing. And that's already around us. So AI, you know, Alexa, for example, we've already talked about, is using that kind of digital technology. But also the way in which Google uses its algorithm, even in the very basic sense, is all focused on speed, being bespoke to each individual user, making sure that the information that they provide to each user is of the best quality, the quickest speed, and the most interesting or the most useful. And so that Google effect is something that we have to take notice of. It has to be something that we make sure our business is optimized for. One of the examples I can give you is kind of, and it's been popular for a while now, is the near me search. So most of us, whether we like it or not, have probably got a GPS switched on somewhere within our phone. So it was a real change. It happened in 2019 quite significantly. Obviously has been changed again because of the pandemic, but it'd be interesting to see how it evolves, which is that rather than, you know, you're in a new city and you get some leaflets in the hotel where you're staying and you think about where you might like to go and eat, people just go out and they just walk through town, they walk through the centre of a city and they think, right, okay, we're hungry, where can we eat near me now? Where is there a dentist near me? Where is there a garden centre near me? And Google is assuming that that's what you're asking. You will notice that your phone is always asking for location. So this hyper-localization of digital also allows us to understand that depending on what business you are, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because Google is, you know, global, huge, completely all-consuming in the search engine market using AI, that you as a small SME that is looking for a hyper-localized audience or customer base can't use it, because actually it's using that AI technology to allow us to harness that kind of level of postcode promotion, if you like, and postcode marketing. And so that's a real change that allows us to be entirely bespoke in the way that we're using digital. Obviously, digital gives us the opportunity for powerful data gathering. So that is, could be data gathering in terms of research from your point of view. So depending on what your goal set is, and we will discuss this as part of the masterclasses, you have the opportunity to understand that better than you've ever been able to do before. The days when we needed to hire people to do market research for us has gone, really. There is so much data out there that you can gather in order that whatever penny you spend and time you spend on a marketing strategy is much more, has a much better chance of success, if you like. But also it could mean data gathering from a subscriber point of view. So we talk in digital marketing terms very much about social media. And, you know, it's the focus is always about social media. But as we saw at the data at the beginning today, actually social media hasn't grown in terms of time, at least, that much. You know, it's not actually cutting into our day so much more compared to what we might have expected. But actually one of the areas that has grown, for example, is email marketing. So are we able to gather data, gather subscribers, capture emails in order to strengthen and deepen our relationships with our customer base so that we can sidestep algorithms, for example, and get good, useful, important, delightful, amazing information direct to people who are already interested in our businesses. And really there's an opportunity there within our marketing strategies to really harness the power of email marketing in that way. And using platforms like MailChimp, like MailerLite, like Constant Contact, we have that opportunity to do this in such a sophisticated way. We can tag, we can segment, we can create groups so that we are giving, we might have one large audience, but we can now pick and choose which message is going out to which sections of our audience and our customer base. And this no longer requires somebody to have a degree in IT, and it no longer requires you to have to necessarily, although you can do, of course, outsource to some big company to do lots of expensive, fancy stuff. Actually, all of us, even at a very small business level, can harness the power of this. And that really moves on to my next point, which is around customer segments and targeting analysis. So again, using things like email marketing platforms, or just Google, or our social media insights, or our website insights, we're able to much better understand our customer segments right down to the very niche segments that we have. And all of us have had to understand our customer base so much better. We've needed to understand what do our customers need most, more than anything, because we have to cut through, you know, the digital landscape is so busy, we have to cut through the conversation and help our potential customers find us as businesses. So this allows us to understand better. It gives us, using social media insights, for example, using Google Analytics, thinking about our reports on our podcasts that we have broadcast, maybe our email marketing, does provide that information. So we're going to look at that within the masterclasses and just give you the opportunity to really dig into how you can use that to make sure that your strategy is on point. But also that kind of data allows us to build personas much more clearly. Persona building is so important as part of any marketing strategy. So for those of you who haven't understood personas before, or haven't perhaps realized that's what you did, but you might have done, is, you know, thinking about those customer sectors. So imagine a business, you know, you have 3 key customer sectors. So you might have your everyday users, you might have your new users, and you might have your once in a while big spenders, for example. I've made huge sweeping generalizations there. But how much do we understand about the persona of that kind of typical customer? And data now, digital, allows us to understand which social media platforms they like. You know, what are they most interested in terms of what they see on social media? Do they look for entertainment? Are they looking for information? Do they look for support groups? Are they looking for companionship? Not only are they men and women, but what are they most interested in? Whereabouts are they from a location point of view? And we can pinpoint that down. What are their likes and dislikes? What are their political leanings, if that's important in your business? We can get all that information very easily without needing to pay for it. And of course, all this leads to very low cost and easy access advertising. We will talk about the opportunities around PPC, so pay-per-click on Google, for example, but also thinking about social media advertising and how best to spend your limited budget to get the kind of support that you need. I have spoken time and again to businesses who may have outsourced a PPC account to somebody, spent lots and lots of money, but haven't felt that they've got the right results. And it's not that those PPC companies aren't doing their job properly, but actually, how do we drive that to ensure that the money that we spend and the outcomes and the goals and targets that we have all come together very easily? So we're going to talk about how to do that. So whether that's outsourcing to a PPC company, how do you drive that? Are you giving them the right information? Or you are doing that kind of front end brilliantly, you know, you've got your keyword searches, you understand exactly what people are looking for, but actually you haven't sorted out the landing page properly, so that you are paying in the PPC world, you're paying for people to click through from Google, but actually when they land on the page, it doesn't give them what they're looking for, and you're paying for them to bounce straight back out. We're going to understand and really dig into relationship building as part of your marketing strategy. So I'm going to take another swig of water. I'm very pleased to say that the sun is shining, but it does make it a little bit warmer. I'm certainly not complaining. Thinking about relationship building, because I've already mentioned at the beginning of this session that really we're beginning to move away from marketing as just a transactional sales-based activity, but much more about long-term relationship building with customers who become advocates about our business. So really understanding how to create those relationships within your strategy so that you're not only getting income in today, making sales, increasing footfall, growing your bookings, whatever that is, but you're also putting in place activities, programs, systems that allows those customers to stay with you as a business. Because in a digital world, as we've already talked about, they're very easy. It's very easy for a customer to be just going for the next shiny thing. So, you know, oh, I like this business. Oh, but I like this one more. Oh, they shouted louder. I'm going to go to this business. You can imagine. So what makes a customer stay loyal to you? What makes them search you out on social media? What makes them sign up to your email newsletter over somebody else's? So we're going to talk about that. And finally, digital gives us the opportunity to build really pretty sophisticated customer journeys. So it allows us to really understand all the different touch points on a customer journey that are going to be important to your business. So traditionally, we used to think we will place an ad, post on social media, people will visit our website and they will buy from us. And it was a very kind of short customer journey. Actually, what's happened now is they may have heard you mentioned on a podcast. They might have seen you as a hashtag. They might have seen a different business tag you in. They might have seen a video of you but can't remember where from. Their friend might have shared an email that you sent them with a 10% discount. They may have seen you pop up somewhere as a little ad when they were reading their online newspaper. There's like a million different ways in which somebody might come across your business. How are you monitoring that? How are you building that into your broader marketing strategy? And how can you harness the power of that so that those customers stay with you on that journey as opposed to just simply clicking away? I remember very early on in my sales and marketing career, in the corporate world, is my sales manager telling me people have to see things 7 times before they buy from you. Well, in a way, that adage hasn't changed, not in the same way as all those years ago, back in the kind of mid-1990s, but actually people do need to see things regularly, but they also need to resonate and understand your brand and your business very quickly in order to feel connected, feel like they resonate with you, feel like that you're on their side, that you're going to do what they want. They have some brand loyalty, if you like. So how you can build all that in. So obviously that is a lot. If you've got any questions, please do ask. I do have the chat box, I can see it. But we will have quite a Q&A at the end. Okay, so I want to share a couple of other little graphics really to exemplify some of the points that I've already made, really just to help you understand the direction that these masterclasses will go in and kind of the depth that we will go into when we think about creating your digital plan. This is about online search behaviours. So really it just backs up some of what I've just said around harnessing the power of Google, for example, understanding what digital can do for us. So this is a global, by the way, not UK based. So again, globally, we're still using very traditional conventional search engines, whether that's Google or one of the ones from the Middle East or China, for example. Voice search is becoming ever more important. So it's higher globally than it is in the UK, but it's still growing rapidly. But also search for brand information on social media, any device, again, is quite high, nearly half of those users, as well as using images as a way of searching too. And on mobile, that's incredibly important. So I want to explore some of the core elements of a digital marketing plan. Again, I'm just going to give you the elements. This is a taster session, but I just want to emphasize that these are the areas that we will dig into in some depth when we are going through the 3 masterclasses. So the way that I like to start is to think, is to kind of start at the beginning, which is what I talked about right at the beginning of this session, which is to think about brand. Whether you feel that you have a really strong brand or whether your brand is a little bit weak, maybe you feel like your brand needs reinventing, whatever that is, it's so important for us to consider it now. Because we might feel internally that our brand is really strong, that it's clear, that you have perhaps a vision and perhaps a value system, perhaps you have clear purpose. But actually, given that the landscape has changed so markedly, given that customer need within your sector is likely to have evolved or changed or grown in some way, how does your brand match that? Is your vision still the same? How do your values now resonate with customers in a way that they didn't before? One of the biggest outcomes of the last 15 months has been the emphasis on sustainability. Now, I work with businesses on their sustainability all the time. It's one of the areas that I focus on and one of my experience areas as a coach and as a consultant. But actually, it's being talked about, I find, in mass media more than it's ever been talked about. And we're kind of looking now with every item of clothing we buy, the coffee that we buy from an outlet, the meat that we buy, most of our, even if it's our supply chains in a B2B area, we need to be able to know where that comes from. How transparent is the supply chain? So that's just one value area. There is also the need for brands to have clear purpose. So for those of you, and I'll give you this top tip, it's one of my favorites. It's called The Golden Circle by Simon Sinek, which is S-I-N-E-K. Go and have a look at what he says about the importance of why compared to what when we're thinking about marketing. Now, it's quite an old video now. It's a TED Talk and it's on YouTube. It's called The Golden Circle by Simon Sinek. Some of you might be familiar with it, but I would suggest to go and rewatch it, even if you've watched it previously, because it really reminds us why is so important in our marketing strategy, because that is the single thing that differentiates us from a competition. Digital marketing strategies never work if it's just all about price. So we always need to understand what the value is of what you do to businesses. And one of the things that the Golden Circle talks about, what Simon Sinek talks about, is kind of the difference between an Apple laptop and a black traditional other brand laptop. Probably they might have the same core processors in them. Probably they might have quite a lot of the same stuff. But actually the way that an Apple laptop is sold and the way a black traditional other brand laptop is sold is completely different, because, and you will know that whether you're a lover or a hater. I do recognise using Apple as an example is a bit Marmite, but yes, Catherine, the name is Simon, and then his surname is S-I-N-E-K, Sinek. I think I've said that right. S-I-N-E-K. I hope that helps. He talks about the fact that actually the black other brand laptop is often sold based on price. It might be quite a loud, shouty advert. It might be kind of, you get a free printer if you buy it this weekend, and it tells you all about the core processing it's got in it and the virus software and all the rest of it. And it's N in the middle, N for no. That's right, Catherine, thank you. So it's N in the middle, N for no. And that's fine, if you're in the market for a laptop and that's your budget and that's okay, that will take that business so far. But actually, when you look at Apple adverts, the latest one is, it shows the laptop being used by a range of a hugely diverse population in different locations around the world, whether they are wheelchair users, whether they're using the laptop in the middle of a desert without a wire, whether they're using it in community to do good with. Yeah, and absolutely, The Start With Why by Simon Sinek, the book, absolutely is a great book if any of you want to dig into that too. Thank you for reminding me. So yeah, that's another good one. So what that advert essentially does is focus on the why you want this laptop in your life, because basically they're saying it's going to make your life better. Now, whether you believe that or not is kind of up to you as the consumer, but the point being is that the marketing is entirely around the why instead of the what, and people do buy why over what. What's important to think about when we talk about brand is the impact on the internal culture of your business, as well as the external expression to your potential customers. So we're going to dig into that too, because we already talked about the recruitment challenges within the hospitality industry. Employee engagement is hugely important and is a huge hot topic as people try to bring people back from remote working into offices potentially. Provide better flexible working, all that kind of thing is going to be really important. So it's important that we understand how our brand functions internally as well as externally. We're also going to look at customer definition and persona building. So for me, that is so important as part of a digital marketing plan. It's so vital that we really understand in some depth the needs of our customers. Again, when I started in sales and marketing, we used to talk about the papers that they bought, the cars they drove, which was their favorite supermarket. But of course, even down to just, are they a man or a woman? we can't define people whether they're male or female. Maybe people don't want to be defined that way anyway. We certainly, most of us use a bit of Aldi and a bit of Waitrose, so that's quite difficult, but we can define our customers by what they need and what's the most important. Thank you. Yes, you've got the How Great Leaders Inspire Action. It's another great TED Talk. So yeah, all of that is good stuff. I also I'm quite a fan of the new podcast called Dare to Lead by Brené Brown as well. So that's another good one. But we'll get into that in the masterclasses. We also, another core element of a digital marketing plan is to look at your value proposition. Again, we mentioned this earlier, but what is the real value in what you're doing or selling or providing in your business that is different from what it was before? Have you really nailed down exactly what it is that people are looking for? And have you made that land? Because quite often we have great stuff, and I work with businesses all the time who do great things, who sell great things, but they haven't necessarily properly resonated with their customers and really understood where the true value lies within that product or service. We're going to look at marketing positioning. So again, how do you position in the market? Are you high-end, niche, standing separately? Are you more mass market? Do you position yourself because of your values? Are you positioned in the minds of your customers in a different way than you expected? What data can you explore to really define that? Maybe you want to change your market position so that you have, been very quiet in the market. Maybe you're looking to grow market share. Maybe you're wanting to be a thought leader as a business and be a thought leader around sustainability, for example, or a particular cause. We're also going to dig into content creation. So obviously I've given you quite a lot of data around what kind of content people love and are looking for. How does that work within your business? We looked at how important it is that people like funny videos and memes, but actually if you're a solicitor's office, that might not be appropriate. So how you can really use the content that's going to be right for your business. I agree. Oh yeah, The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown is another great one as well. So yeah, Unlocking Us is her other podcast, if anybody likes to, but it's not particularly about business. But it's all about us, which is business these days. And we're going to talk about communication planning and how to make that device dependent too. So we know that the power of mobile has never been more important. We know the power of having a mobile website is not a luxury, but in fact a total essential in business. So how you can make your content be right for different devices. And then of course, any digital marketing plan needs to have clear KPIs and ROI implementation. So those key performance indicators, what are you going to use as a measure of success of your digital marketing plan? How are you going to monitor that? Who is responsible for that? What return on investment are you looking for? What is your budget? And how you're going to analyze all that. Is it going to be weekly, daily, monthly? Who's responsible? What is important? It might be, it sounds crazy, but it might be that this, depending on the stage and the goal of your business, but the stage of your business too, that actually you just need to grow audience and grow brand before actually you see serious changes in your income happen. So it depends what goal that you're looking for. For some of you, you might just be wanting to gain footfall. So it might be all about the check-ins. But for some of you, it might be all about the website visits because you're growing a new brand. You might be launching an app to go with your brand, for example, and it might be app downloads. Yes, we will get the slides, so please don't worry about taking stacks of notes. Sadia will send out the slides afterwards, so all the information will be on there. Okay, so that really is the core elements of a digital marketing plan. And again, the reason I've just shared this little kind of image is to really help us understand some of that. So I talked about content based on device, for example. So mobile phones, again, growing by 5 or 6%. laptops, desktops, obviously decreasing, we're so not surprised. There is still a growth in tablet devices as well, which is interesting. I don't use one myself, so that's interesting. I'm just phone and laptop, but devices are still growing. And then of course other devices. So you know, there was that amazing story going around social media. For those of you who don't have school-age kids, you might not have noticed, but for those of you who have school-age kids, there was a brilliant way in which you could harness the power of your PlayStation to access certain digital school learning, which was great. So for those, some families who didn't have laptops for their children to home learn, but did have a PlayStation, were then able to access the same level of information, which was, you know, a real positive for families who've struggled with PlayStation addicted children. So really using some of this data again to build the kind of digital marketing strategy you're looking for. Of course, any digital marketing strategy is absolutely no good to us whatsoever unless we understand how we're going to implement it, how we're going to use this digital marketing strategy practically. And this will be very much part of the masterclass series of 3, because time and again, you know, I come across loads and loads of theory around digital marketing, but what I find is most important is really helping SMEs to implement it successfully. Otherwise, it's a lot of time, effort, and possibly budget that isn't going to give you the goals and the targets and the results that you're looking for. So some of the considerations that we will go through, some of the things that we're going to talk about in that masterclass is really, first of all, identifying skills gaps and requirements within your business. So we will all have them. You can't possibly know everything. I don't know everything. We all have areas in which we need help, but it's understanding where those skills gaps lie, and also potentially what's stopping us from doing what we really want to do. So again, I come across businesses, for example, who perhaps haven't harnessed email marketing to this point because actually it's been a bit kind of scary and over there, and that's going to take a lot of tech, and that's going to take some skills I haven't got. And so it's actually kind of put a block on their growth plans in a way where if they had just understood that this was a gap in their knowledge, but actually this is where they can get some results and this is where they can get some support, then they can overcome that and really use it to grow their businesses again. So identifying what requirements you have within your team and within your business. We're going to think about building internal culture. So I've already mentioned this, internal culture and employee engagement. So for a lot of you implementing or wanting to work on a new digital marketing strategy, that might actually include some change. So some of you might have heard of the Kubler-Ross change curve. So what we're finding, and I've been working on a national leadership program recently, and one of the things that we've been talking about is employee engagement and how that's really suffered. So employees feeling not only that it might be personal well-being that might be a problem, but also kind of productivity issues, feeling disconnected with the business, feeling like the business has changed a lot recently and it's struggling to keep up. It's important that if you are going to implement something new, upgrade your brand, maybe ask them to do different things or new activities that they haven't tried before that's out of their comfort zone, how are you going to manage that? Because quite often in a marketing strategy, we don't talk about this change management that might be involved in what you're asking people to do. And it's so important that your employees and your team fully understand what you're trying to do, that they're all on the same page, not only because we need them to be, but also that they're feeling confident and good about what they're doing. Because, you know, we talk about wanting our customers to be advocates of our business, but we actually need our employees to be advocates of our business too. So we're going to think about how you might manage some of the changes that you might be implementing as a result of this marketing strategy. We're going to think about ways of efficiently sharing the plan and creating buy-in. So that's very connected with that internal culture, but also thinking about how that then links to the next point, which is around roles and responsibilities. What leadership is required to make this marketing strategy really work? And it will require leadership. It was going to require some ownership from some people. It's going to require some accountability. It's going to require your employees to really get it and understand where it's headed so that they feel excited, positive. And when we think about leadership, we need our team to feel like the business is good. And even if you've had a torrid time and, you know, maybe you've had a really tough time in your business and you've really struggled to keep going, actually, this new opportunity is something that you want everybody to feel enthusiastic and positive about. We're going to then think about management tools, and obviously the digital management tools that might be an option for you. So that could be anything from a full CRM system like Asana or Monday to something as simple as Trello, time management tools, reporting tools. Who is going to be responsible for what and how that impacts on the wider plan. So if you've got somebody within the team to do content, for example, how do they know when they have to do it for, what you're looking for, how are you going to get that message across, and how is it going to be monitored so that nothing gets delayed? Because one of the pressures we're under as part of marketing strategies these days is to grab the zeitgeist, if you like, to grab the moment. So thinking about particular weeks, particular landmarks, particular historical events, particular campaigns that you would like your business to be associated with, particular hashtags that you'd like to use. It's important that everybody in your marketing machine is working quite efficiently to grab hold of those opportunities. But it might be that you need to outsource. Your team might not be big enough to do all this. So how do you drive that outsourcing relationship? How do you create a proposal that really gives you the results you want, so that you're no longer just saying, hey, can you do my social media for us, please? What you're saying is, I want you to do our social media. This is our brand. This is our story. These are our hashtags. This is our goal. This is our voice. This is our personality. And immediately, that drives the outsourcing relationship much more successfully. Budget, of course. How much is all this going to cost? What's involved really? Because classic example, I've been through it myself in my own business, but I've also been through it with clients many a time. You know, you think, I'm going to make some changes around our logo. I'm going to make some changes around the way that we are creating content for social media. And then all of a sudden you realize, but actually, I'm driving them back to our old website, and actually the website needs refreshing. So actually that's a whole other bit of budget that we hadn't taken into account. Please don't think that I am expecting that as part of these masterclasses, you're going to have to roll out some serious budget to make it a success. I don't think that's true. I think you can do a lot for free and a lot very inexpensively, but just needing to understand it from the outset is important. And then thinking about target and goal management, obviously, how are you going to monitor what's going on? When are you going to make changes? At what point are you going to see something as a success or beginning to be a failure? When are you going to understand, right, we're going to have to tweak that, renew it, recharge it, and then roll it out again? Because that will be the journey. Even if you create the most amazing marketing strategy as a result of this masterclass, something will come along. Your customers will change the way that they're doing something. There might be a supply chain issue. There might be something else that happens in your market that means you have to be agile still, but you will be agile with great foundations as opposed to agile feeling out of your depth. And also finally, analysis. So again, any great implementation of a marketing strategy needs to have the analysis and return on investment analysis on point too. So we can talk about all that within the masterclasses too. What analysis you need to look at, what you don't need to look at, what you've got the time for, who understands the analysis, because data is great, there's lots of it, but data is no good unless it's useful. So just to run through then what those masterclasses will look like. And I'm going to let you know in a minute how you can register your interest and get on the waiting list. We haven't got dates yet for these, but they're going to come up soon. Is creating a digital marketing strategy to to hut your goals. Now that's a typo on my, no, to achieve your goals. I'm not quite sure what spell check that was. To achieve your goals. So that includes the brand, the vision, mission, purpose, customer profiling, value proposition. Masterclass 2 then will be talking about developing that high impact tactical digital marketing plan. So this is starting to bring that plan together, thinking about what your marketing mix is. So, you know, are you going to include website, podcast, videos, maybe social, maybe email marketing, some of that, all of that. Storytelling, how you're going to break down what you want to say into great chapters, into something that really lands with your customers. Content creation, analysis. And then finally, the last masterclass is really going to be a bespoke opportunity for you to think about how this is going to be implemented within your business. So again, support around building a team, how it's gone so far, thinking about some of the skills that you might need help with on a one-to-one basis, management tools you're going to use, and the implementation of those. So if you've got any questions in the chat box now you would like to ask, please do type away. I'm going to take the opportunity for another swig of water. And while you're doing that, if you've got any questions, I'm just going to take you through some of these slides at the end. So you can register your business with growmysme.co.uk to become eligible. So the program at the moment is fully subscribed, but they have got a waiting list. We're just waiting for the new contract to start, but you can certainly register your interest now and be first in line for that. You will get some access to business grants and investment advice. So again, this might be really useful if you decide, for example, that your digital marketing strategy means that you need to implement X, Y, and Z in your business, then maybe business grants will be what you want or need to access. There's also an opportunity for one-to-one business growth and advisory sessions. So again, it might be that what comes out of your marketing strategy masterclasses is you identify a big skills gap or an area that you want to talk one-to-one with a business advisor with. That could be me, but we've also got a range of different advisors with lots of different specific skills. So we will find the expert that's right for you. There are expert mentoring sessions too, as well as supply chain network. There's digital catalyst, business scale up support programs as well. So we can signpost as well as part of this program. So in terms of next ICT for growth events, we've got the digital catalyst specialist support. So there's identifying key opportunities and pain points. So things, I'll just go through all those. Yes, one more there. So you can have a little look at identifying which technologies will add most value to your business, so we can help you with that, and judge which options offer value for money and will deliver the ROI that you're looking for now and in the future. It will also help you understand knock-on changes that will be required to introducing cloud computing, for example, what that might mean for you, identifying how different technologies will integrate with existing systems and processes. So again, it could be that you've got a bit of a process going on already and you want to upgrade that. How does all that work together? And really how to implement and manage technology on an ongoing basis. Because again, it's all very well us saying, hey, we think you ought to use this because it will be great for your business. But how does that look on a day-to-day basis is so important. So give you an overview. So because there's nothing like a visual, so let me just bring that all up and then you can see. So obviously the kind of program starts with a bit of a digital assessment. This is called the Digital Maturity Assessment, and the DMA is an opportunity for us as business advisors to do a little bit of questioning around your business and start to see where pain points are, where opportunities might lie within your business. We use these really on a really expert basis. We don't just use figures that are spit out, but we really look at those with you and work out what's most important in your business. And then we're able to signpost you towards some expert support. So we can do that through a digital sprint, for example. We could specify particular technology that might be useful. commerce adoption, for example, procurement processes that might be useful. And then we can help you, again, thinking about some further advice, some technology support, that kind of thing. So that kind of gives you an overview. So some of the example projects, far from exhaustive, they put, and actually, you know, this is the point of this program, which has been so lovely. I've already done a range of different work and projects with a range of different businesses. So we're looking to make it bespoke and useful to you, not a one size fits all. So obviously the digital marketing and social media support, that's sort of with me and people like me. Move operations to the cloud. So again, cloud computing, cloud activity is really important for all of us, really, and certainly understanding it is. Consolidating technology infrastructure and tools and applications to increase productivity. The introduction of e-commerce, or at least the development of your e-commerce. Again, e-commerce has been a huge story in the last 15 months. So it might be you had a bit of it, but you kind of need to augment it, or you have got e-commerce, but it's a bit Heath Robinson and you'd like to really upgrade it. Cybersecurity, again, super important. Cyber attacks, unfortunately, have also grown exponentially alongside lots of other things. Online accounting, and also implementing customer relationship management. So kind of CRM system setup, that kind of thing is also going to be there available for you. But again, if there's something more specific you want to talk about, then that's there too. So digital catalyst in a nutshell. Let me just make sure I don't go too far. So you've got bespoke, impartial, one-to-one business advice from an expert technology specialist. So that's someone like me. There's a great team of us. We make sure that you work with somebody that you really resonate with, that really has the skills that your business needs. So we're all here for you. Assistance with any aspect of digital technology adoption. So thinking about things like, you know, implementing, winning more work, enhancing your customer offer, attracting and retaining staff, keeping you safe with effective security systems, whatever it is, we're here to help. Brokerage to further support or grant funding. So we really are working, as you can see from all the different logos at the bottom of the slide, we're really working in connection and in partnership with lots of different organisations in the area, so we can really signpost you and really help you get to where you need to get to, whatever that is. Hand holding to get you started, so always, even if it's virtual. A shortcut to the right solutions for your business. So we're going to help you kind of really pinpoint what's most important rather than you kind of trying to work it out. You know, it's a really great opportunity to work through that DMA and find out how that works, and also become a better IT customer. So we all need to improve our IT, all of us, all the time. So, you know, we're all learning and on that learning journey. So eligibility, there is some eligibility criteria. It is exclusive to the Humber area, so that's first. It is about SMEs, so that is less than 250 employees, which I'm sure includes all of you. Turnover below 50 million euros. It's in euros because it's European funded, and a balance sheet of below 43 million. So it's not a very difficult eligibility from that point of view. And you do need to have been actively trading for about a year, or minimum of a year. So there are some sector restrictions that apply, but please don't worry about that. Just make the contacts on the next page, and they will let you know all of that. And it's obviously subject to acceptance by the business investment team. So here are the contact details, as I already mentioned. Please, you know, feel free to call, email, if that's your preferred mode of communication. Check it out on the website. You will also get these slides through as well, so you'll have an opportunity to revisit some of this if you need to. And I just hope today has been useful for you. If you haven't got any questions, then please, you know, put them in now if you've got anything you want to ask or say. Thank you so much for your contribution as part of this webinar, and I hope it's been a useful taster session for you. And thank you for all your contributions. So Start with the Why by Simon Sinek, How Great Leaders Inspire Action, again by Simon Sinek, and also The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown, and Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. Great book, great podcast as well. So Just to remind you that everything, so thank you, Catherine, that's been great. I hope it's been useful. So we're currently fully subscribed, but please don't let that put you off, because there is an extension in the pipeline. So just please stick in your expression of interest, and we were more than happy to get you in there. Okay, so that's the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for your time today. Just going to come out of share, and then I've got my cursor back. If there aren't any more questions, then I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to finish the webinar, and thank you very much for being here.